Raise your hand if so. Everybody should have been signed in on the sign-in sheet either by circling your name or by writing your name on the back. If not, yeah, go ahead and give me a hand signal. There you are. You have that one? Welcome to the Kansas Republican Assembly. We normally start with a prayer, and Glenn Perdue has on very short notice just agreed to lead us in prayer. So Glenn, if you'll give us the opening prayer, it would be appreciated.
Let's stand. Father, we just thank you for your blessings. Thank you for a country where we have liberty. Thank you for your blessings, Father. I ask, Father, for your protection over our president, our Congress, all of our leaders throughout our country. I ask for your leading, Father, that they will be led by your Holy Spirit. Thank you for this meeting. I ask, Father, that you would lead you and direct us in your ways, Father. In Jesus' name.
Amen. While we're standing, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the way, I always like to recognize the oldest veteran present. Do we know who that is tonight offhand? It's Alan Logan. Alan, when did you serve?
Active duty,
Yeah, when did you serve? And I think you were Air Force, right?
Air Force, right? 68 to 71.
Okay. Thank you for your service to our country. Much appreciated. Okay. Since we are, I don't like to do a song twice in a row. We did God Bless America last month, but I don't want to take the time to hand out these longer songs and sing them. So we're just going to do God Bless America. It's short and sweet, and then we'll get right on with the play. I don't like to do solos, so help me out here. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. How many of you know that that song was written by a Russian immigrant? That's something. With all the news from Russia and Ukraine, I thought that would be appropriate. I've never heard so much Ukraine news. Some of y'all know that I had, since 2016, I've made 10 trips to Kiev in the Ukraine, where my girlfriend is. So, anyway, yeah, I would love to. Yeah, well, we're heading that direction. We really are, but it's complicated. But man, that country loves America. Ukraine is pulling away from Russia, and they're fighting over the land down in the Odessa region, but the love that the Ukrainians have for America is great. And they're trying to love both parties, both the Democrats and the Republicans, and they're being tied into a pretzel to try to please both Republicans and Democrats. But they want so badly to be in NATO and to be part of the West. They are positioned way east of Poland, but they want to be part of the West. That's what they want to do.
So are you going to try to make Ukrainian mail order brides a thing?
Well, I've actually, like I said, I've had 10 trips over there, and I've had more than one candidate that I've dealt with. I've got several friends over there, but the one that it looks like now is leading to marriage. She's held up. She's actually in Switzerland. Her father had a heart condition, and so here I was on my way to the airport in Wichita, and she's on her way to Israel with her dad because he's like going to die. And they fixed his heart in Israel, but they still had a problem with him, so they sent him to another heart hospital in Switzerland. And that's been like 4 months ago, and she's been up there with him ever since. Poor girl, she runs a business of her own. She has a flower shop, sells bouquets of flowers and does delivery. And so she's a real good business lady, and she just had to let that business fold while she's taking care of her dad. So I admire her for what she's doing.
Well, if you're gonna get ticker work done, I guess Switzerland's probably the place.
Yeah, I guess that's the best heart hospital in the world where he is at right now. The one in Israel, I guess, is comparable to what we have in America. But the best of the best of the best is, I guess, in Switzerland. Anyway, so I don't know how I got off on that. That's not on the agenda here, is it? So, all right. So I want to recognize any office holders that we have here tonight. Glenn, you are a county chairman somewhere. Sumner County. So we got Glenn Verdu as the Sumner County chairman. Do you have any other precinct committee members around here? I see you showing hands for the precinct. Got Debbie Baker here, Al Elliston, and Helen Elliston. You're a precinct committee woman, right? All right. Oh, go ahead. Give me your names again.
Julie Sigmund.
Julie. Okay. And is this your husband?
Yeah.
Okay. You're both precinct committee men and women. What precinct?
305, I think.
Okay. So you're down the
The
south.
Jim Ward
Okay.
area.
Say again.
In the Jim Ward area.
Jim Ward area. Okay. So you're south then. So, any other, well, other than we have a school board member here, only one of the three up here that is incumbent, we have Sherry. And so Sherry, in light of that, I'm going to let you go first when we start the program. Before we do that, on the back of your agenda, we have, well, the minutes, of course, you know this now. That's what Brian is doing back here. He's taking our minutes on video. I really like this system. The videos are not well watched. Not too many people look at them, but they're sure well done. And I think they'll be there. I think if we put the name, we'll talk about this later. I think that they would be to be made available to others if you put it the name of the person speaking in the title somewhere when you're looking for that person, it might come up. But anyway, the last one here again, just a super job. Thank you, Brian, on that. So we don't have to take any votes on that. The video doesn't lie. So the minutes are already approved, and that if you ever do see something that's been cut out or something on a video that you're watching, let us know. We'll fix that too. So what I'm looking for right now is someone to give me a motion to approve the treasurer's report. By my mathematics, it came out to the penny on all three separate accounts. We have the fluoride challenge account at the bottom. We have the fluoride only account, which includes both Democrat and Republican money and independent money. And then the top one, the main account. And all of them down the spread. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as Debbie is making the motion? Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. So we're good to go. All right. Tonight we're honored to have 3 school board candidates with us. We were already introduced Sheril, Logan. We got Joseph Shepard in the middle, and then we have James Kilpatrick, a member of the group. I guess that should be noted, an honored member of the group with us here tonight. So. James is running in the 4th district, and he's running against a person familiar to all of you, and that's Stan Reeser. And Stan had another engagement tonight. He was very polite, very much was interested in what we were doing and so on. And I left it open for him to send a replacement. No one has there's no phone call or anything like that for as far as the replacement. So I don't think we're going to have somebody walking in, or they could. Somebody could walk in and say they're here to speak for Stan. But that is the person that is running against Jim in the 4th district. So we've got Jim and an absent person. And then in the 4th district, the one that's generating all the sparks is Joseph. Yes, this is in the at-large school district. And Sheril already is holding that position. So on this side, we have an incumbent seated, Sheril, and Joseph, who is the challenger for the at-large position of the USD 259 school. So as I said I would, Sheril, I'm going to go ahead and let you get started. Debbie, if you could be my timekeeper again. We want to keep the opening statement to about 4 minutes. And if you could just tell us, you know, your background and biography and why you're running and what you want us to hear for about 4 minutes. And then each, we'll just go right down the line. Joseph next, and James, since you're a member of the group, you have to go last. So then we'll open it up for questions and answers, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for allowing us to come out. It's always nice when we have a face and a name together and a little bit about what they believe in. I am a lifelong educator. I started teaching actually in the Wichita district. I taught a few years in Colorado. When we moved back to Wichita, I started teaching at Mueller Elementary, which at the time was before DC, so it was an all-African American school. And I learned a lot that year. Then I continued on and I became a reading specialist. Eventually I became a principal in the district. And then I moved into becoming the assistant superintendent for both elementary and then I moved up into middle schools. And after that, after I retired from the district, I went to WSU and became the assistant dean in the College of Education out there. When I left that position, I ran for the school board. So this is my 8th year on the school board. The first 6 years, we had to cut the budget every single year to the tune of about $90 million. And the last couple of years, we have gotten money from the state, and we've been putting it into raises for our teachers first, our teachers and our staff, because they went 6 years without. And we've also hired a new superintendent, Dr. Alicia Thompson. We've put a strategic plan into place so that we'll never get the 90 million back, but we can be strategic about how we use the money that we do get. And so we have 4 goals in that strategic plan. First one is raising graduation rate. Second one is having all kids proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade. Third one is looking at career and tech ed along with college prep. Because many of the students in our district, we have about 76% poverty in this district. That means 3 out of 4 kids are at the poverty level. So that brings a whole set of kinds of concerns. It's not that they can't learn, they just need a little support to support them. And we've got to build that support into our system. So by putting career and tech ed in, we are giving them the opportunity to move right from our doors to workforce and be able to earn a decent wage. So they can become a CNA, they can become a fireman, a policeman, they can take engineering courses if they're interested in that. They can do 25 different programs that they can do, walk right from our door into a job. And then the 4th area is safety. And safety is huge because if kids don't feel safe in school, learning slows down. It doesn't mean that it necessarily stops, but it slows down greatly. So those are kind of the areas that I want to make sure move into reality, because if the strategic plan is literally 1 year old, we're moving into our 2nd year this year. And so it's brand new, it's really easy to turn it around and make changes. And I believe in my whole heart, this is what's going to help the kids in our district. And my expertise, my years of experience, all those things help us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheril. Okay, next up we have Joseph, Shepard.
Well, thank you all so much for allowing me to come and visit with the KRA. It's always a great opportunity to find that people are interested and invested in our public schools, because I believe it's the cornerstone of our communities. When we have strong, thriving public schools, we have strong communities, and when we have a strong community, we have a thriving economy. And I think all of us can agree here that we want a thriving economy. And I believe the best way to get there is by ensuring that we have strong public schools. My name is Joseph Shepard. I'm a transplant. I'm originally from a small city outside of San Diego, California, Oceanside, California. I came here to Wichita in 2011 to, at the time, what I thought was just visit my father, who became the pastor of the oldest African American church here in Wichita, Kansas, St. Paul AME Church. When I was here, someone said from Wichita State, "Can I take you on a visit?" And I said, "You can take me on a visit, but there's no way I'm moving." And I literally stepped foot on campus at Wichita State, and I fell in love with the institution and all that it had to offer. I fell in love with the family feel and the opportunities that were afforded to me. Growing up in poverty, I wanted to break the cycle of poverty in my family. There were times in my life where I recall sleeping in cars in front of a Walgreens store and waking up in the morning and showering in a McDonald's restaurant and going into school. And I know firsthand how that trauma impacted me and my learning. So when I was afforded the opportunity to go to college, I took that not for granted. Got my bachelor's degree from Wichita State University in criminal justice with a minor in psychology, and then I moved on to receive my master's degree in public administration with a focus in nonprofit management. Currently work at Newman University as the first ever director of multicultural engagement and campus life, where I have the opportunity to work with young people who, a lot of them come from schools like USD 259, to help them understand that education is the passport to success. I'm running on 5 things. Fiscal responsibility, because I think that we need to give taxpayers a return on their investment. The best way that we can do that is ensuring that each child that walks through a USD 259 school door gets a quality education, but more importantly, that they exit the 4 walls of our schools ready to reinvest in this economy by being workforce ready. The next thing is academic advancement, making sure that we're, again, providing that quality education and ensuring that they have the level of intelligence that they need to not only have the skills to do well on a test, but the soft skills and the critical thinking skills to thrive in life. Inclusion, because the world walks our hallways, so we need to ensure that we're providing policies and practices that encompass all the young people that walk our hallways. Transparent communication, because I believe as individuals who are paying into our public education system, we should always strive to be transparent with our community and what we're spending our dollars on, but more importantly, the great things that we're doing and the things that we need to work on in order to propel our school district forward. The last thing that I'm really focused on is healing-centered engagement. As Sheril stated, 76% of our young people experience trauma because they come from homes of poverty. And so I want to focus on not why, but how do we help them heal, so that way they can understand that there's a way to become a productive member of society and not allow the downfalls and the obstacles that they've experienced in life define who they are, but in fact that they use it as their superpower to transform their society and continue to break the cycle of poverty for generations to come. I'm really invested in our public schools, been in and out of public schools here since 2011, since I moved here. Have a niece and a nephew who are products of USD 259. One goes to Gordon Parks, it's his first year at Gordon Parks, and then another one who is at Price Harris Elementary School. So really invested in ensuring that we give back to the young people who are going to ultimately contribute to our economy and our society. Thank you.
Yeah, James Kilpatrick. I'm not going to go into the bio so much, other than the fact to say that I've spent 35 years in law enforcement. So where I see education as the front door of society, I've been working on the back door of society for 35 years. And I think there's something there that needs to change. And so what is the number one thing I'd like to see done? First thing is, we talk about transparency. I want every school to list every class they teach. I want them to list the goal and the syllabus of that class and all the materials used in it. And that way, anybody in the public can go and inspect what's being taught to see if it is appropriate. Sometimes it's not what you're saying, but how you say it makes the difference. And so I want the public to be able to inspect those records and see if that's a viable thing. Now, why is that? Because politics has so gotten into the education, we're no longer worried about the education, we're worried about the politics of the schools. And as Abraham Lincoln said, the philosophy in the schools of one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next generation. But I'm very unhappy with the philosophy of government in this generation right now. So the school is where we change that philosophy. So I would like to see it where the public can inspect it. Not everybody in 259 has read all the curriculum. We couldn't do it. So we need the public to be involved and see what's wrong there. And if there's anything wrong, get it out. The next thing, I agree with the career and college program to have to an extent, but I think we need to go back to industrial arts so that the kids are familiar with basic skills in the high schools and the junior highs, so that when they graduate, they have a feel for what life is all about. You know, we're there to educate them on the skills they need for life. What are we doing in the prisons? We're teaching them basic skills. Even in the jail here, they have a program where they try to give basic skills to the prisoners so that they can go back out into society and get a basic job. So I'd like to see industrial arts return in strength to the schools to give the kids not a career start, but a feeling for what's out there so they can choose the program they want to go into. Maybe we can get somebody in the service industry where we need help instead of into the college. Okay. The other thing I'd like to do is, you see how civil society has become. I want to reintroduce the Bible back into the schools. Now, the Supreme Court has already authorized this. They've told you how far you can go with it. It has to be an elective. The student can't be forced into it. You can't force them to be Christians. For those Christians that are worried, you know, reading the Bible will not make you a Christian. So putting the Bible back in school is not an attempt just to get them into that, but to let them know the basic philosophy that made this country great. Just so they can understand the principles of government, the principles of civility. All the basic principles our founding fathers used to make this country be the longest lasting republic in the world, 240 years. So if we get that back in there, we might be able to start instilling some civil temperament back into the kids instead of the way they're behaving today. And then the last thing I would see is discipline return back to the schools, so the teachers are in control of the discipline and choose the students.
Thank you all three. I'm impressed. I wish we had somebody here to speak for Stan Reeser, but we chose not to send anybody. I like what each of you had to say, and I especially agree with James on putting the Bible back in school. How many of you have heard of a gentleman by the name of Jordan Peterson? Well, this is bad. You do yourself a favor. Write down a little note. Go to Google. Jordan Peterson. He's a Canadian psychologist. He is probably, I think, the Einstein of our age. He's just incredible. I started listening to him by accident. But he is, you wouldn't think that someone who's a professor of psychology in Vancouver or whatever, Canada, he taught at Harvard, and he's all over the country right now. He is just burning up the internet with his talks about some of what Jim was saying here. And he wrote a book, and 12 Rules for Life. And I really highly recommend, if you start listening to him, you won't want to stop. That's the problem. But anyway, Jordan Peterson, Peterson, traditional spelling. And there's so many in there. There's hundreds of things to look at. Some are better than others, but he's really good. So he would agree with what James is saying as well. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to take questions from the floor. We want to give everybody a chance to ask at least one question. You have the option of giving the questions to all three at once, or you have the option of saying, just for Jim or for Joe or for Sheril. You can specify. So I will open the floor at this time for questions. Glenn has the first one. And please specify who it's for. For all
I
three?
think for all three, but for Sheril specifically, she mentioned that the funding has been cut by $90 million. So I'm wondering, what was it before the cuts and what is it now? School funding.
Well, our per pupil allocation went down to what it was in the 1970s during the end of our cuts. And now it's coming back up. Our per pupil allocation is about $4,400 per student now. And with that, we're able to begin to look at where we want to move in this district and be able to put programs back into place along with giving money to our staff.
I'd like to change my question. My question is the amount of dollars to the school back then, and the amount of dollars today.
Okay, our budget today is $741 million. That's the amount that we gave to the county so that we don't have to replenish our budget. Back, I'm trying to think, and you're testing my memory. We went down to about $600 million before, or, and then started cutting, when we finished cutting, is what I'm gonna say, over where we are now. So, and I apologize, I don't know the exact number, but that's a good range.
Any of the other two have any comments?
Sorry about that, I'm trying to get the noise to stop. It worked. It worked, okay. Very good. She shut it off. Okay, so next question, was the last question satisfactorily answered? Or did you guys want to address the funding as well?
Sheril,
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have anything to add, please
I
don't.
do just one thing, I think there's plenty of money in the school system, but I just don't think that it's missing the mark as far as getting the product we want on the inside. In other words, when they graduate, and if they graduate and they don't have any basic understanding of life, it doesn't make any difference how much you pour into it. We're expecting, according to Kansas policy institute, this year they should get over $15,000 per student, all sources of income. That's a lot of money. And even the best of private schools are probably getting that much. So it's not the money, it's what are we doing with it. What's the end product? That's what we're going to do.
Great. Next question. Go ahead.
And I'm wondering, these teachers that have these children that are out of control, they cannot discipline them because the parents will be on just like that. What can we do to change?
Several things that are happening currently right now. First of all, we are training all of our teachers on trauma-based instruction because the kids that are coming to us now, the kids that are coming to us now, I'll use my cafeteria voice, how's that? The kids who are coming to us now are coming from a lot of turmoil in their background and in their homes. And they're doing the best they can, but they're bringing a whole lot of baggage with them. So we have and continue to train our teachers to know how to deal with kids who come with trauma in their background. We also have restorative justice in all of our schools now. And restorative justice is a plan that actually the police department uses too. And it takes the students when they say they got in a fight on the playground. And it takes those two students, and it doesn't mean they don't get punished, because they do. But they also have to sit down with each other, talk about what happened, how can they change their behavior, how did it affect the other person, how did it affect them. It's a process to teach kids rather than just hammer them. Because we can't be the Gestapo, and I hate to use that word, probably the wrong word, so I apologize for it. But we can't always punish kids into behavior. We have to change their behavior. And that's what we're working on doing, is putting things in place to change their behavior. Then we also have some special programs for kids, because the mental hospitals around the state have closed. And those kids are coming into our schools now. And so we have Bryant Academy for kids who are very, very traumatized and very much in need of behavior controls. And we are, again, working with them so that they understand how to change their behavior. Because we don't want to keep them in that kind of setting for very long, but we want to make sure that they can go back into the regular classroom and not disrupt the kids. And we are, up and down the road, we're working with how do we change behavior of kids. And then we also are punitive at times. I mean, if a kid fights in school, they don't get to come back for a day or so. So that it's a combination of the two, rather than
we have on our responses, if we can hold it to 90 seconds. Sometimes you can't, and go ahead. If you have something that has to be gotten out, we're liberal about that. We try to hold it to about 90 seconds because the clock runs so fast and we're trying to get everybody's question in. So Joseph, would you like to address that, or it was really addressed to Sheril, so you don't have to? Jim, you want to say anything on that, please?
Well, no, they're in a difficult situation along the laws. And I
Yeah,
question.
all the attorneys on speed dial.
Yeah. So I questioned whether they ought to be at the school to begin with, because my philosophy is schools for education. And if you've got behavior problems and other things that are not an educatable situation, you do need to go somewhere else.
Okay, next question. Go ahead.
Are most of the schools here, are they locked?
Okay, is that for all three or for just Sheril? For everyone? Okay, well, let's start with someone else. Let's start with James this time.
What was the question?
Are the schools locked?
Are they lost? Are
Secure buildings.
they salvageable? Are
Yes.
they
The buildings are just secure, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I can't see how you can make them any more secure unless you make them prisons.
Yeah, every door but one is locked once the kids get into school. And you have to come through the office and sign in, and we actually have, you can take your driver's license and run it through. Because if you're a sexual predator, that'll show immediately, and we then let you go further. If you do not have rights to have, you want to take a child out and say it's a family that's split, one parent has rights and the other doesn't, that'll show up immediately. So we are doing all kinds of things to make our building secure, including changing locks so that we can lock the door from inside the room instead of outside the room, because heaven forbid we never have a person come with a gun to one of our buildings. But if they did, we don't want teachers stepping out into the hall to lock the door, and then we want to be able to lock it from the inside. So there's things for safety that are both facilities-wise and then training-wise for our teachers.
Sure. I would say I had the opportunity to be a part of, currently I'm in a leadership Wichita class, and it's 30 up-and-coming leaders in Wichita, and we recently had the opportunity to visit some of our public schools, and Sheril was there, and I was extremely impressed. I think most people who visit our public schools know that you have to go, you have to bring your driver's license, you have to be checked in order to be screened to see if you can go through the next step. But aside from that, the new locks that you can lock inside the door, I was extremely impressed with that, because of course there's this notion of fear that a lot of people have about active shooters, even though we can proudly say that we haven't experienced that here. But it doesn't mean that we're exempt from it ever happening. But to know that our school district is taking the necessary precautions to keep not only our teachers safe, but our students safe and other employees is very humbling, and it's reassuring. And I think that the school district is taking the necessary steps to do that. We also had an opportunity to hear from the individual who's over security for our school district, who did an amazing job explaining and breaking it down in layman terms the precautions that the school district takes to keep all of our students safe and secure.
Yeah, when I went through, I just recently completed a couple of tours, and every room you had to have a key to get into it. Whether there was a class going on the inside or not, you had to have a key to get in. Nobody's walking in.
How about students?
Unless you had a key, you were getting in.
The kids all have to carry the key?
No.
The teachers
The
have-
doors have to open the door.
Right, okay.
The teachers have to open the door.
They can't even get into the classroom without the teacher there in person.
But even when I was there, they had to unlock the door for me to go in, and the class was on the inside. The teachers that I've seen, they had keys too, so I assume you go your way at the school. So I don't see how you can make it more secure. And I saw some other things that I liked, I won't mention it. But I think they've done about all you can reasonably do. There's nothing you're going to do to make it perfect. If somebody wants to kill somebody, they're going to get it done. You know,
Unfortunately.
yeah, there's just no way out of it.
Next question?
I'd like to ask Sheril a question.
Go ahead.
Can you give me some examples of how the school board has saved the taxpayers' money?
Yes, I can, absolutely. One good example that comes to my mind just off the top of my head is right after Dr. Thompson became superintendent, there was a law change in Washington about how bonds can be refinanced. And she heard about that. She got her team together, started working, because we had quite a few bonds, you know, because we've been building schools that were going to come due, but it was going to come due after January 1st. What she did is she called special board meetings. We had 2 special board meetings to come in to work with the consultants and then to approve the final piece. And in the bottom line of that, it saved the district $3 million by pushing up that timeline. Instead of doing it in the spring, we did it before December 31st when that law was changing. And those are the kinds of things that we're always looking out for and things that we want to do. That's the reason when we bid things, we look at our specs first to make sure it meets our standards of what we expect. And then we put in what do we do to make sure that it's the lowest bid. Because we want to save the district money every time.
Did either Joseph or
To
James
be
want to?
fair to the other 2 candidates, can you give us some examples of how you think you might be able to save this?
Good, very good, thank
So
you, sir.
I think what we're talking about, I think Sheril said it right. I think that they are constantly thinking of ways in which they can save money for the district, and I've seen that firsthand. Being present in the meetings, hearing, and even going out and listening tours when Dr. Thompson became superintendent prior to even running for school board, you can tell that there is a real desire from the Board of Education and from the superintendent to ensure that we are stretching every penny that we can. But for me, the return on the investment goes far beyond the monetary reward. It's return on investment in time, return on investment in getting families engaged, return on investment in making sure that people understand what is going on in the school district. And so when I talk about specifically giving taxpayers a return on their investment, I think it's extremely important that we meet families and meet community members, those who have children in our school district and those who do not have children in our school district, where they are, to share with them some of the things that we are doing and being more intentional about sharing the great things that we are intentionally doing as the superintendent, as the Board of Education, so that way we can effectively mobilize our opinion so that community members don't think that we're not effectively trying to give taxpayers a return on their investment and really trying to save the money for taxpayers in regards to what the district is doing.
Well, in the mood of socialism in this country, I doubt it very seriously. But to me, the biggest problem I see is duplicating effort. For instance, they got the CEP program where you feed everybody, and they want everybody to be fed. They don't care whether they're a millionaire's daughter or the poor man's daughter. They just want everybody to eat at school. So to me, that's duplicating effort. It's the same way with a kid who's getting food stamps and food at home from all the other sources we get food from, and then we still want to feed them at home. Or we use educational dollars to do that. But maybe some other department is already doing it, or should be doing it instead of the schools.
I don't know, I don't think that the hot lunch or the lunch money comes out of the education dollar. I think that's a separate.
It's federal money.
It's federal, it's a title chain, a channel that are different.
You're investing, you're saying they're paying for the employees and everything?
They're paying for part of the employees, yes, and they're also paying for the cards, and the food cards and stuff like that. And it is money that has to be spent on food. It's not money that we can take and move for teacher salaries or something.
It's a separate river of money.
Yes.
The only other thing I would say to that is, and I'm a firm believer in accountability. I'd make sure that the kids are eating food and we're not just sliding it off into the garbage pail.
Yeah, that happens.
So, but really, I like the school district. I think the content, the curriculum, we got to change it because we're getting so much bad in society now. The kids are expecting everybody else to take care of them. They're expecting not to have to learn. It just, we're seeing it on the other end. We're seeing it in the colleges where they riot instead of letting somebody have free speech. We see it when they're busting up things and attacking people in the streets. We just had 3 teens kill a father in front of his family at a fair. And to show you the attitude of some of the parents, the parent comes up saying, I want bail for my kid. the kid just killed him, man. He says he's a good kid, he's never done this before. I'm glad to see he hadn't killed anybody before. But I guarantee he wasn't a kid, or a good kid. So somewhere in there, we've gotten values all screwed up, and we gotta get it back right. And to me, you start with that curriculum and try to take some of the politics out of it and get it back to education.
Very good. Next question. They're seeing no hands. I will add the next one if you don't mind. I've actually got 3 of them written down here. I think the first one I want to address is the one on pay, and as far as where the money goes. And James, I want to start with you. I have a friend at the Wichita Packard Club. His name is Bob Weeks. He puts out a blog, and about a year ago, he had a listing of the wages that supervisors, superintendents, principals, vice principals, and so on were getting paid compared to what the teachers were getting paid. And I thought, my gosh, if this is real, I trust Bob, this is just way out of balance. I think we have several districts in the state where the wage, the starting salary, without the benefits of the travel allowance and the other per diem and so on, it's over $200,000. I want to know what everybody thinks about that. James, starting with you.
Well, last time I checked, and it's been years, we had 6 of them that made more than the governor of Kansas.
Well, there you go. Well, what does the
And
governor make?
that's just in 259, so I don't know how all the rest of them out there. I mean, somebody's got to make the big bucks, but you got to wonder. And any organization is going to feed itself, let's face it. You know, you're the same way. You're going to go after a pay raise if you can get one, right? So I understand why they personally look for the money.
Is it the school board that approves that?
Well, I think the school board does approve salaries, yeah.
Joe, I'll have you go next, and then Cheryl's going to give us her
One
knowledge.
of the first things that I found when running for the school board is 87% of the budget goes into the classroom, and I think that that's really important for everybody to know. And the next thing that you're referring to is, and I can understand why it's a concern for many people, I hear it all the time when I'm out knocking doors, is why are we paying our administration this much while the teachers are fighting for more pay? And I get it. But I also think that the Board of Education recognized what they were getting when we selected who our superintendent was. She's a homegrown leader that has gone through our school system. She knows what it's like. She knows what it's like to be a teacher. She knows what it's like to be inside the classroom. She knows what it's like to work at the administrative level. And to be completely frank with you, I'd be really interested in seeing what your thoughts are when you find that there are superintendents in the state that make more than her working with smaller districts than USD 259. It's not easy managing over 50,000 students, several employees, over 90 schools in this district. So I do believe that we are paying her what she is worth. However, I do believe that we need to do a better job mobilizing the opinion as to why we are paying her what we are paying her, because I think a lot of people become concerned when that conversation does not take place in public.
Cheryl?
This is always a hot topic, and I'm not surprised that you asked this question, because I've answered it before. In Wichita, our budget, 1.1% for every administrator that sits in our administrative staff. That's how much of the budget that the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the head of HR, the person that runs our special ed department, the person that's in charge of ESOL, all those people, it's 1.1%. And the example that I gave you of saving $3 million, Alicia paid for her salary for about 15 years on that 1%. You get what you pay for. There are several superintendents in Kansas, just as Joseph said, that earn more money than Alicia does. We're the largest district in Kansas. We have 50,000 kids. The next largest district has 44,000 kids. We also are very diverse, meaning high poverty rate, lots of ESOL. We have 121 languages in the district. So she's leading a very lean team of people who are earning their money and repaying us with the things that they do, like the $3 million I gave you an example.
Before I go on to my next question, and that's for a question from anyone else? Oh, go ahead, back.
Hi, I'd like to hear from all of you. Apologize for not knowing the current status of it. But what are your thoughts about gifted students? And what kind of accommodations do you have for them?
Good question. We're going to start in the middle with Joseph.
So when you say gifted students, do you mean gifted students in terms of individuals who are in accelerated courses, or do you mean gifted students who have individual educational learning plans?
What was the second thing?
Individual educational learning plans are students who are in special need programming.
Oh, more by gifted, I mean ones who can excel, who
So
can learn.
So how can we better
classes.
support them? No, you're fine. One, we need to put a focus on acknowledging when students are doing well. I think sometimes we put a focus on the students that are not doing so well, that we allow the students who are excelling in class and are showing up and are doing the right things in class, we just leave them by the wayside and they kind of get ignored. I think that we've done a good job as a district being intentional through a program called BASE, that recognizes minority males in the schools that have a certain grade point average, that are doing certain things in the community, by bringing them together and providing a space and creating an opportunity for them to be acknowledged and to get opportunities to be exposed to different leaders and different opportunities in the community. I think we need to continue to acknowledge the individuals and the students within our school district that are succeeding, that are doing what they need to do, that are being productive students in our community, so that way they can understand that when you show up and you do what you need to do and you are excelling inside the four walls of the classroom, there are benefits and opportunities that exist outside the four walls of the classroom that can help them propel in the future.
Cheryl, let's go with you second.
We do a lot of things for our gifted kids. Starting at the elementary level, we have what's called tiering. And it's the kids who need a lot of, the regular kids are kind of at the bottom if you think of a pyramid. The regular kids are at the bottom of the pyramid. They go through school with not a whole lot of extra support. The teacher's pretty well able to work with them. The next level up is the kids that may have missed out on something. They may have missed the understanding of multiplication tables, for example. When that happens, we put extra staff in, paras, volunteers, all kinds of ways to be able to give those kids short-term what they need to catch them up. The third tier is our kids who are far outside. Those are our kids that are gifted, and they're also our kids who speak no English and come into our classrooms. So that is a lot more intensive support. We currently have an ID program, which we've had for years. It's at East High School. That's the International Baccalaureate program. You have to screen into that. We started this year a college academy is what we call it. It's at Northwest High School. And 50 of our kids, chosen specifically to reflect the diversity in our district. So you're going to see all races in there. You're going to see a lot of diversity of rich, poor, and so on. It's not just the kids who are the top. And I'm kind of up already. But anyway, that program is brand new. When the kids graduate, they'll graduate in 60 college hours. They'll walk across the stage, get their high school diploma, and be eligible for 60 college credit hours that they can take anywhere. It costs them $50 an hour.
James, any comments on the gifted?
Yeah. Since I do have some gifted grandchildren, they were ahead of me right there because I was gifted. But anyway, I haven't found any problem with that area. Usually you're dealing with strong parents, strong families that have increased the value system tremendously. And then the school system is very supportive of that. So I don't see any problem with gifted kids. The normal kids are going to settle through. I'm more worried about the lower end tier, and are we giving them the basic skills they need to survive in society? I mean, they're not going to go out there and be the rocket scientists. They're not going to, you know, the thing is, are we giving them enough skills that they can decide, well, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that. Maybe they don't know. In the old days, remember, we sent them in the military and let the military sort it out. But today we don't have that option. So today we've got to make the schools the option. They've got to give them the experience at the lower levels to let them try to decide what do they want to do with their life. I went to college 10 years after high school. So it doesn't mean you have to leap right into college to go from high school. I went through a lot of other things. I had some great training from 259. I'm not knocking public education. So my point is, gifted kids are no problem. Strong value system, strong families. We need to try to get the broad experience to the lower levels.
Okay, next question. There being none, I will segue into that. How many of you know that when the Apollo 11 spacecraft was sent to the moon, that we didn't have computers. Computers were developed from that program. That the person that did all of the really hard math was a black lady, and she was obviously extremely gifted, but she had trouble because she was a lady and she was black, and they didn't think that she was going down the right path. So when you talk about gifted people, think about her. They laughed.
And it was due to her math.
You bet. You bet. And it was done by hand too. We're talking really, really complex math and no computers at all. They had slide rules and they had, some of the aids, but nothing like we have now. Go ahead. Another question.
Just a quick comment about that lady. There's an amazing movie called Hidden Figures. That's a documentary about her.
Hidden Figures?
Hidden Figures.
I have not seen that.
It's amazing.
Okay, I'll have to see it.
It's on
Okay.
TV now. I just saw it last week. I see it in the theater when it was
Okay, well, now how I was going to segue into that, we have this issue here that it's always on Facebook and it's always on the news and other places, not in Wichita yet, about pushing gender identity issues on the students. And let's see, I think did you, Joseph, I'm going to have you start because you started, you answered first, fewer yet than James or Sheril. So you go first, then James, then Sheril on what is your take on the schools, the public schools, trying to get into the area of a student determining their gender if it's not already obvious.
It's a really good question. In fact, it's a question and an issue that's been going on in our school district for quite some time. I'll be very honest with you that I completely agree with a lot of the students and community members who have come forward and asked for this policy to be changed.
What is the policy?
There's currently not a policy that includes gender identity or expression or protects our LGBTQ students. So what I will say is as the son of a pastor who grew up in the church and still regularly attends church and has very close ties with church, I'm not here to change anybody's beliefs. People should be able to believe what they believe. We have got to change practices and policies that really allow our students to show up every day in school feeling safe. This isn't a question about whether we agree with their gender identity or their gender expression or their sexuality. We don't need to debate that. What we need to do is ask ourselves, are we providing a space where students can show up every day feeling safe, not fearful that they're going to be bullied, harassed, beat up, or picked on because they're not respected while they're within the four walls of the school. And so I don't want to make this about whether or not we agree with the LGBTQA communities or not. We need to make this about being ethical and making sure that we're providing a space for everyone to feel safe regardless of where they fall politically, regardless of where they fall with their gender identity or their sexuality. This is a matter of creating a space where students can feel safe. And employees.
That nice Debbie stands up and they sit down, it's working out.
We're compliant.
Really compliant, really nice to deal with. Okay, so James, you get to go second here.
Well, I'm back to education. And the job of the schools is to educate. We know what a boy is or a girl, or at least we used to. And so they should be teaching what a boy is and what a girl is. Now, there's so many sexual proclivities out there, you can't teach all of them. We've got 120 some languages. Maybe we get 120 sexual preferences out there. The important thing is, go back to tell them it's a boy, it's a girl, and when you decide to do it some other strange way, okay. But the fact is, education. Teach them what they need to know about themselves and their bodies, and go with that. I think they've done a great job. They're taking the staff rooms, making them family bathrooms, so that if the kid does need privacy, he can go in there and have his privacy. But otherwise, there's a boy and there's a girl. That's the only two sexes there are. And if you've got a sexual proclivity, you have to deal with it. You know, life ain't fair. It's worth it.
I agree with Josephine that it's really about safety. And several months ago, I asked the superintendent to bring back to the board guidelines, staff development, and whatever policies might need to be adapted. She has been working, and her team have been working very hard to bring it back. One of the things that they found that we are going to change is when we print a class list for a substitute teacher, it prints the name that the child's legal name is. And some kids, having nothing to do with gender identity, they just want to be called something different than what's on their legal name. And so it just takes a patch, is what they call it, on our computer system. It's not even going to cost us anything. And we'll be able to print the list of preferred names. So if it's a Mary and she wants to be called May, the substitute teacher's going to know that. And that solves a lot of the problems of kids feeling like, oh, you know, they're not calling me by what I need and all that kind of thing. Little kind of fix. But if we're going to do anything, which we don't know what we're going to do because we're still studying, it's not about putting words in a policy. It's about having people understand what's going on. And that's a reason guidelines on what we need to do so that we have consistency across the district, and staff development with teachers to let them know what the expectation is so that we're not holding them accountable for something we put in policy that they don't even know about.
We have time for one more question. Go ahead, Brian.
A number of people have used the reasoning of safety or inclusion or what have you to essentially force other people to use language that they're not comfortable, with. For example, if you have a child who wants to be called Mary instead of John, and you have another child who goes, well, that's a boy, not a girl, I don't want to call you that because that's not what you are. In the name of safety, are you going to force the other child to play along with the other child's delusion?
So he's really talking about compelled speech.
Right.
And in a country that treasures freedom of speech, I remember I mentioned Jordan Peterson. That is how he became world famous, was fighting Canada's compelled speech. And they're miles ahead of us on this one. I think they're out in the woods. But I didn't mean to answer that. Let's go ahead. Joel, you want to tackle that one first, and then we'll be pretty sure we've got to start.
And I'll follow up.
That's fine. That's fine.
The bottom line is, I don't know what we're going to do yet. We're still looking at everything. I think a child, particularly if their parents are saying, you know, here's what the child should be called, then as a district, we call that child by that name. And that's a reason we've got to do our homework. If you learn anything about me tonight, know that I listen, then I research what it is and find out the facts, and then I act on it. And that's what we're doing in this whole thing.
Okay, Cheryl, just 1 second further. What about the pronouns? The him, her, she, he?
Well,
That
again, if the parent and the child say, this is a boy, then we call them boy pronouns. Like, it has to be a decision that's made beyond us, by a parent, by a child.
Okay, and then they that gender?
No, we have unisex bathrooms. We have bathrooms where just like they have out at the airport or in other places where you can, family bathrooms, they're either sex, single stalls bathrooms. Going into a bank of bathrooms is not where I don't think any of us want to go necessarily, because we're not prepared. We don't have stalls in our boys' bathrooms except for a couple. And you want to have privacy, absolutely, when you're in the bathroom.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sure, I would say piggybacking off of that, it's a matter, again, I want to go back to, this is not a matter of changing beliefs. It's a matter of changing practices and policies. And while it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, the reality is that we have to respect how people identify. There are African American people who wish to not be called African American, they wish to be called black. And that is their prerogative. There are individuals who don't identify as Caucasian but European. This is a matter of respecting people's space and their identity. And I think that as we continue to talk tonight, I hear a theme of respect and teaching our young people soft skills and critical skills. The most important soft skill that we can teach our young people is respect. We don't have to agree with each other. Our political ideologies and philosophies don't have to be the same, but we can understand that you have your views on mine, and your truth is your truth, and my truth is my truth. Neither is the absolute truth. Neither is. It's a matter of respecting space and respecting people and their identities and how they wish to feel and be called.
All right. James?
Well, if your dad named you Sue, we're going to call you Sue. But if he didn't call you Sue, he didn't give that name to you, then no, we're not going to go into fantasy land. And the same way with boy and girl, you're still a boy or a girl. And that's just the way it is. Now, you can choose to live any way you want to live, but you're going to unfortunately suffer consequences. If you're a boy and you come dressed in the dress, you got a problem with the other boys in that. Well, they invented the problem, and I'm not for that. What I'm saying is, get back to education. Teach the boys you're a boy and what a boy is. Teach the girls what a girl is. And keep it on an educational level. And with all these people, with all their various proclivities out there, tell them to deal with them outside the school. Because when they bring them in the school like that, you're not only forcing problems on that kid, the one you're bringing in, you're forcing problems on everybody else in the school. And why should you do that? Now, medically speaking, just look at it this way. You think you're a boy? Go tell the doctor operating on me like a girl. And he's going to have a hard time finding that womb in you. So I say get back to logic, get back to education, leave the politics out of it.
All right. Oh, we got questions here. Al and Helen both. Well, let's try to make these rather quick, and then I'll ask the one that'll.
I'll say go with God. God made the decisions what you were going to be, and that's what you are.
Are you putting that into a question, or do you
No,
want to
I'm
make?
saying God made the decision what you are going to be before you're ever born, and that's what you are.
Okay, each of the three panelists has the option of saying here, here, or you don't have to. Al.
Well, I would apply this is not one of the worst kinds of child abuse that there is to encourage a person to be something they're not.
Oh, I think it can be, especially when they start doing the hormones. Let's go ahead, Jane, go ahead and start.
I think it creates mental illness problems at just the beginning. If you're so confused that you're an adult and you can't tell the difference between a boy and a girl, what's that poor kid going to do? I mean, he doesn't even know because he's listening to you and you don't even know. So the thing is, this is a realistic, scientific analysis of what a boy is and what a girl is. Yeah, as they grow up, they're going to have different personalities. They may go off and do different weird things. But you can't train everybody in school to just go willy-nilly with whatever anybody wants to believe. It just doesn't work. At least not as an educational process. It just doesn't work.
What was the question?
Well, it's not ultimate child abuse to let people believe anything and everything and teach them to do something they wouldn't want to not.
So I hear tonight that there, as I'm continuing to take in everything that's being said, I hear that we continue to point back to Christ. Right? And I will have to tell you that I think our job as individuals who are striving to be like Christ, because we all fall short, I think our job is to act mercifully, to show grace, and to show compassion. And I don't think anyone in this room or anyone up here is qualified to fulfill the role of Christ, or else we would have been the one called to be nailed to the cross. And so I think our job while we are here on earth is to love and to respect and to create spaces of equity and equality and inclusion where individuals feel respected. And when we fail to do that, we fail to carry out the number one commandment and values that God has. So that's my position on that.
Sheril?
I think your question is this abuse?
Yes.
And by abuse, are you referring for the schools or for the parents or for the kids?
It probably starts at home.
Yeah, I think you truly, you may not like the answer, but this really is a safety issue when it comes to schools. We're not making decisions for students in the public schools. But whether we like it or not, those decisions are coming to us. It's the world we live in. And we have to accept every child. We can't, if a kid doesn't meet our standards, say go by. That's not, we can't do that. We're a public school, we accept everybody. So what I want to do is make our schools as safe as we can make them for every child who walks in our doors. And the whole abuse issue is not an issue that we deal with because I'm looking at making sure kids can learn. They can't learn if they don't feel safe.
But they can learn where they are. That they can learn.
That's not our decision to make that decision.
I would also add, it's not our decision or our place to choose for them how to identify.
But when you teach the Bible, it's in there. And if you want to straighten them out, it's in there.
I think that's one interpretation.
So, okay, go ahead. You haven't asked a question yet. We're going to be running a little over. I knew this was going to happen. We have three candidates.
This is a
Go ahead.
discussion because this is profound.
The rubber meets the road. We're on it. I got it.
And what everybody's missing is that you're focusing on the individuals or the parents who have the proclivity. And you're not doing anything, you're not saying anything about protecting my grandchildren in a public school situation, exposing them to things that are wrong, that are violations of the Bible, and that doesn't have anything to do with loving one another. We love one another if we're Christians, but there are standards that we must live by. And you're abusing, the school abuses my child and my parents if they force on them to tolerate things that the Bible.
Can you put that into a question though? We need to ask them a question.
No, I'm just making a comment.
Okay, well, thank you. Your comment is very welcome. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close this with two questions, just so that we don't get too far out of tune here. And I'm going to put my question in different order than I had originally intended. What if we have a sports program that's connected to a school, which almost all of them do, and you've got a broad-chested, testosterone-filled male shows up and says, hey, I want to join the women's or the girls' wrestling team. How are we going to handle that? You know how we're handling it now in some places. We're letting the guy go in there and win all the trophies, and you know, there's a movement now growing to keep men out of women's sports, you know, based on the gender identity issue. So,
Wichita, in Wichita.
Cheryl, I don't need to pick on you. You're welcome to go first.
We are we follow KSHA rules, which is the state's rules for all sports in high school. And right now, there is nothing about letting a boy come into a girls' wrestling team. Whether that changes, I don't know. But right now, that is not, that
How
can't
about track?
happen.
How about track?
Well, we have girls' track teams and boys' track teams.
Well, but I know, but the boy says he's a girl, so he wants to go around with girls.
Again, we have to follow KSHA's rules.
Do they have, I don't know what that rule is.
The rules, well, they're set by gender right now, is how KSHA's set, because that's the way we've always done it. And
So how are you gonna protect?
That means
How are you
nothing.
gonna make sure that it stays gender related and not?
Well, it's the way that, we have one vote on KSHA, and other school districts have votes on KSHA. And so the school districts, not just Wichita, but all across the state, would have to make a change in those rules. And right now, there's no leaning towards that I'm thinking of.
Joseph?
She talked about the policy.
You want to add to it? You're highly up to you. Cool. All right, James, you want to touch it?
Yeah, I just read tonight an article by Ben Carson, and he was talking about the trouble they're getting into with the women's shelters. Because according to the federal laws, they're supposed to let these men come into the women's shelters and use their showers and their bathrooms. And he's saying, this is stupidity. He's saying, we got to knock off this foolishness. And we do, we got to knock off the foolishness. If you're a male, you go where the males are. If you're a girl, you go where the girls are. That's all there is to it. And the whole point, it is to make the community safer. You don't have a lot of confusion, you don't have a lot of people being abused. Everything is back to a scientific understanding of what a boy and what a girl is. And society operates on that standard. And if you operate on that standard, then you have reason in society. Otherwise, you have foolishness.
One minor note about the shelters is male shelters are almost non-existent by comparison.
Yeah, that's because in the real world, we say, get out there and earn your living, or it's your tough luck.
Go ahead, Glenn.
In Kansas, you can go and change your birth record to say you were the opposite sex at birth. So that goes back to Sheril's point of following what the state says. So you have this boy that you were speaking of that's changed his sex on his birth record. Now does he play in the women's sports?
I'm
That's
not.
Kansas law.
And it is Kansas law. And to be very honest, I don't know where KSHA stands on that. I do know that we've never had that come up as a problem in our district. It doesn't mean it never will. But right now, we're following those KSHA rules, whatever they say.
I think the worst, did everybody get to answer that? Okay, so I think that in the last 10 or 15 years, the thing that has tugged at my heartstrings the worst, and I think it's probably the same for all of you, is when we hear on the news, some shooter, shot 15 kids in Columbine, or some school here or there, whatever, a wild shooter in the school, and they're able to just go crazy because they're in a gun-free zone, and there you are. I think it is a shame that we have teachers who want to volunteer to conceal carry in the schools, that should be allowed as a deterrent from a crime like that happening. So my question is do you or do you not agree that teachers in all public schools in Kansas should be allowed, if they volunteer to do so, and keep in mind we have both male and females that have been through military training, should they be allowed to conceal carry just as an extra layer of protection beyond the locks that we have on the doors of the school, which is good. So, who goes first? I've totally lost track. I'll let you guys choose. James, you're the law enforcement guy.
Carrying a gun is an awesome responsibility. I don't even like open carry, even though it's legal. Because the stupidity of that is, the gangster sees you, he can take it. But insofar as our schools, if a mass killer's going to show up, it's going to be the gun-free zone. And if he's got to worry about whether a teacher is armed or not, that's just another concern he's got. He doesn't know whether it's one or it doesn't. So yeah, I'm for it, but it's also a responsibility the teacher takes on, because it's not easy.
I would even pay him extra, but anyway, go ahead, Joe.
I think in 2016 or 17, we were dealing with this at Wichita State because the state passed down a law where you can conceal carry on college campuses.
But that was for students.
And that was for students. And the fact of the matter is, whether we liked it or not, knew it or not, there were already a lot of people who were still carrying. I have a lot of friends who can still carry. I become concerned when we talk about allowing them in schools because we had the opportunity to speak with several members of law enforcement, those who worked in Wichita and those who worked on the campus, who said it would make it very difficult for them to distinguish who is the active shooter and who is the one that is in danger. So when they show up on the screen and they give the description of who the active shooter is, what if the description of the active shooter matches the description of a teacher who works in that building and both of them have guns? How does law enforcement then determine who is the active shooter and who is not? And what if police doing their job ends up shooting the wrong person? And so that was a very big concern for me, hearing from the professionals who work every day to protect and serve our communities.
So what's the bottom line? You would be for it or against?
I would not be for that. I would be against it.
Cheryl?
This is one that I really am willing to step right out and say I'm not for that. And the reason is our teachers, I want them concentrating on teaching. We have police officers in our high schools who carry guns. And we are doing everything we can. We can get a teacher and lock that door from the inside within 5 seconds. And we're doing all of those, and we have drills with our kids where we take them out away where somebody can't see them through the window. I don't want our teachers leaving their kids, who are their primary responsibility, to go out and be a policeman. That's not their primary responsibility. And, you know, I can see way more problems than other things with guns in schools. I'm sorry, but I can't, that's not something that I can agree to.
Well, this has been an extremely interesting and informative night. That wraps it up for our question and answer period. I ran way over on time, and so I've got an idea to catch up on a little bit of time. We're going to do we were planning on doing 2 ballotings. I got to be out of here by 8:30, or got to be all wrapped up here by 8:30. How about, this is not a vote on who we're going to endorse. This is a vote on how we're going to endorse. James is here alone, okay? And I think it's probably a little bit of a waste of time to hand out a little piece of paper and then bring it back and then count them and everything. Can we do James on a voice vote? We don't have Stan Reeser here. Let's see, I would need to have this in a motion. Debbie, can you move that for me, that we do James on a voice vote rather than balloting, and we'll ballot the second. Okay. Debbie has moved that we ballot for the 4th district by a voice vote to go faster. And I need a second for that. We got a second from Al. All in favor signify by saying aye. All right, that's it. So, all opposed? Silence. All right, good. So that's definitely unanimous. All right. In the 4th district race, we have 2 candidates. And no, I'm sorry. We have 2 candidates. We have Stan Reeser.
Oh, okay.
We have Stan Reeser, who's not present here tonight, who could still get your vote. I mean, we won't take that away from him. Or we have James. And as a matter of fact, Stan is the incumbent in the at-large position. He holds that currently. So this organization will be endorsing them and giving them a very nice social media friendly endorsement. And so I've gotten high praise from some candidates in the past. I've gotten regrets from some that didn't use it when they had it. So the endorsement thing, it matters. And so my question is, all in favor of this organization endorsing James Kilpatrick for the 4th district, signify by saying aye. All in favor of having Stan Reeser get the endorsement, signify by saying aye. That sounds like a lot of silence. So I think you got a unanimous, James. Okay, nobody embarrassed. Congratulations, you got our endorsement. If you have to pack it in tomorrow, I'll bring you your certificate. Now, you have a minute to run and get a refill on your pop or whatever. I gotta get the ballots out, we'll get them handed out to the voters. Okay, we're ready to announce the balloting results. The results are in, and we had a total of 8 votes. 1 person abstained. 1 proxy also abstained on this race, but voted for James. And it comes out with 6 votes for Sheril and 2 votes for Joe. So Sheril is going to get the endorsement. So there you go. All right, so we've got a couple other little quick items here to get through. If anybody still wants to go to the NFRA convention in Atlanta, Georgia, it's not too late, but you're going to have to pay a higher price for tickets, and the hotel rooms, I guess, are running out. I'm not sure that they're actually selling out or anywhere close to that yet. However, they put out the, on Wednesday, it was yesterday, they put out the guests and pictures and all, and Trump wasn't on there. And I was like, oh well. He wasn't on the other one too. You know, 2015, we didn't know he was coming until that day. So I don't know whether it's security or whether he's not coming. So I can't guarantee that. And I don't run Trump's agenda. So all I can say is that I think I would give it a 50-50 chance he's still going to be there. On the other hand, he may not be. So don't, if you're going just for that, I didn't, I'm learning as we go here. I just learned that Wednesday, yes. So, if you do want to go, we had some people that were interested that didn't go forward with anything, but if you do want to go, you really need to get with me now, though, because anything further is going to be too late to go. On the announcements, if you'd like to become a supporting member, you can see what our treasurer's report is like. We always need help. We love our Reagan members or our Team Trump, and we welcome that. We only have one Team Trump, so if you want to do it, checkbooks or checks or credit cards work. Just let me know. Okay. Yes, Glenn.
You make it sound as if it costs $100 to be a member of this organization, minimum?
No, the supporting member. No, your memberships are on 10, 25. Well, make that clear, I think, yeah. Well, the bold print there is supporting member. Okay, you have members, voting members are $10 a year, 25 for 3 years. That has not changed. We just added these 3 supporting membership levels. And, there are, in the plans, benefits for those. For example, if we had a notable speaker here that everybody else is paying $50 a plate or something like that, if we ever get to the point where we can have those kind of things, then the supporting members would be discounted or given first grabs and so on. So, but that's different than the regular memberships. But I will make that clear. I agree, that should be made clear. The Pachyderm meets every Friday at noon. If you have never been to the Pachyderm Club, I would invite you as my guest tomorrow. And I'll pay for your meal one time, and then after that you can either join or not join. It should be a very interesting Pachyderm meeting tomorrow. We have Mayor Longwell opposed to Representative Brandon Whipple speaking at the Pachyderm. So I expect that to be a full house, and I expect it to be it'll be interesting like ours was tonight. The Kansas Coalition for Life. Obviously, I'm always saying this, looking for extra people on site. We've had numerous cases, about a dozen now, since 2019 of vandalism on our truck trucks. The worst, the most blatant, we had a rock thrown through the driver's side window last Thursday in broad daylight at the Planned Parenthood facility. So we need more people there. It makes people afraid, especially single moms or with kids or something there. If there's people that are willing to do vandalism and violence, they don't want to be there either. So the thing is, there's safety in numbers, and if you've got 3 or 4 people on site at the same time, even if just for 40 days for life, it's really nice. So if you have the time to do that and could come out and spend some time on site, saving lives is a wonderful and rewarding thing. especially when you get to see the baby later. The last thing we have, oops, I didn't get the date correctly there, that's the date. The next regular meeting is October, tell you in a minute, 24th, October 24th. Misprint on that September, my fault. So, yeah, I didn't get all the way down there. Sorry about that. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Brian?
Over that.
Brian?
Sure.
Brian is moving to adjourn. James seconded the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.